Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. Tidal Wave by Betty Vriesen. Mary sleepily rubbed her eyes. What can all the fuss be about, she wondered, fumbling around and finally finding her alarm clock. It was 2:30 a.m. Why would someone be pounding on their door at such an hour? Dad cautiously opened the front door, and Mary heard an exciting voice calling out the warning. "Tidal wave, Pastor Dick! Please tell the others, then move your family to the village Laura on the other side of the island immediately." The man said no more, rushing away to alert other inhabitants of the tiny island of Majuro. Mary's family had come to the island just 2 months before, and they weren't yet accustomed to the strong winds and resulting high waves. They'd been told that during the winter season the winds blew almost constantly. Dad had come to the island as the new pastor instructor in the mission school, and Mother was to assist with some of the teaching duties. Mary was happy she could be with her parents in a new exciting land. The coral atoll had been such a beautiful place to live, at least until now. Dad roused Mother and called to Mary, who was standing in the doorway of her room. "Put on your shoes in a hurry, grab a slicker, and let's go. There's no time to waste." The side of the island where they lived was only 10 feet above sea level. This meant their lives were in danger because the storm was headed in their direction. It took no more than 5 minutes for the family to locate their rain gear and meet outside the back door to escape in their Jeep. For a second, Mary paused in the doorway and started to go back into the house. "Can't we even take a few of our things?" she asked. Dad guided her firmly but gently to the Jeep. "I'm sorry, dear, but there isn't time for that. I promised Jim when he came to warn us that we'd take time to warn as many folks on this side of the village as we could. Please hop into the Jeep. We have quite a few stops to make." Dad drove down the narrow street and stopped in front of several small frame huts, telling the occupants to flee to the other side of the island where they'd be safe from the wind. It was understood that each family was to warn a neighboring family, thus spreading the word quickly. Meanwhile, the wind became wilder and caused the Dick's Jeep to rock furiously back and forth. "I sure do wish Dad would hurry," the shivering Mary said as she and Mom waited for Pastor Dick to alert another family. "Oh, I'm sure he's hurrying as fast as he possibly can, Mary. You know it wouldn't be right if we thought only of ourselves and didn't try to warn others of the possible danger," reminded Mother. "Yes, I know. I guess I was being a little selfish, but you have to admit that it's scary out here in this awful wind." Mary was trying her best to be brave, but it wasn't easy. Just then, Dad bounded into the Jeep. "There! I've warned all the key families, and they'll tell the others. Things are really beginning to fly around." He was panting from exertion, but wasted no time in guiding the Jeep down the bumpy road toward the far end of the island. Being out in the middle of the night like this in a strange land gave Mary an eerie feeling. She bowed her head and prayed softly, "Oh, Lord, please help us reach safety." Then she snuggled down between her parents and felt a little more secure. Sensing Mary's fear, Dad suggested that the three of them sing some of their favorite hymns. What a comfort it was to hear her dad's big, booming voice as he sang the words, "On Christ, the solid rock, I stand." It certainly made the difficult trip seem shorter. Finally, though, Dad was forced to stop singing so he could give intense concentration to his driving. Suddenly, he swerved to avoid the remains of a twisted banana tree. Bang! As the Jeep limped to a halt, Mary cautiously peeked out from her cozy hiding place. "What was that?" she asked. "While I was avoiding a big tree trunk back there, I must have run right over some jagged rocks at the edge of the lagoon. We just blew a tire. I'll have to change it or we'll never make it," said Dad gravely, climbing out of the crippled Jeep. "Here, we'll help," called Mother, holding the big flashlight as steadily as possible. She knew that without the light it would take a lot longer to find the jack and the other necessary tools. Together, Mother and Mary huddled close to Dad, helping in whatever way they could. They could hear the huge waves smashing along the shoreline behind them. Every now and then they could even feel some spray from those angry waves. If they weren't able to leave soon, they might be swept away. "Hurry, Dad!" Mary cried. "Now, Mary, let's not panic. I'm doing this as fast as I can," Dad answered calmly. "We asked God to guide and protect us. If we panic, we don't show much trust in Him, do we? Remember the solid rock we were singing about?" Dad continued to work as he reassured her. Every second was precious. "There!" Dad exclaimed a few minutes later, shouting above the wind. "Jump back in, and we'll be on our way." During the rest of the trip, there were times Dad wasn't even sure he was on the road, but as they neared their destination, the winds began to diminish. As the Dick family rounded the last curve, Mary saw the most welcome sight of her whole life. "Look!" she sighed in relief. "The Olsons have their lights on. They must be waiting for us." "Yes, Jim radioed ahead for us. The Olsons knew we were on our way," said Dad. "Now hop out and go on in, you two." As Dad helped her out of the Jeep, Mary gave his hand a tight squeeze. "Thanks, Dad, for teaching me about the solid rock. Now I really understand that even though storms come, we can always trust in Jesus."
The story you have heard today is from Guide's Greatest Stories, written by various authors and compiled by Randy Fischel, and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.